bring gifts we traverse afar, fields and fountains, moor and mountains, following yonder star. Oh, star of wonder, star of light, star with royal beauty bright, westward leading, still proceeding, guide us to thy perfect light.
Hello, a happy new year to you all and a very warm welcome to another of Trinity's virtual messy churches. And today our theme is Epiphany. I hope you all had a very Merry Christmas, and I expect by now most of you are probably back at school. But I spent today taking down the Christmas decorations because yes, last night was the 12th night, it was the 5th of January, today is the 6th of January and it's the day that we celebrate Epiphany. Now that means the day that Christians all around the world celebrate the arrival of the Magi, or the three kings, to visit the baby Jesus. And it's the recognition of Jesus being born as the Son of God. It's known as the day that the baby Jesus was revealed to the whole world. That's why you may have heard people saying that they've had an epiphany about something, because perhaps they've just realised something for the first time. So stick with us today to enjoy a celebration of this very special festival and to learn how people throughout the world celebrate in different ways. I hope you enjoy. The book of Matthew, chapter 2, verses 1 to 12, tells us that in the time of King Herod, after Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea, wise men from the east came to Jerusalem asking, "Where is the child who's been born King of the Jews?" Matthew speaks of these magi, or wise men, who followed a star from the east to Bethlehem in search of a newborn king. There they found Mary and the baby Jesus and offered him gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. Why don't you ask your mum or your dad or a grown-up at home what sort of gifts you received when you were a brand new baby? So I think it's probably much more likely that you would have received some practical things like perhaps a warm woolly hat or a blanket or some clothes suitable for a brand new baby, or perhaps even a cuddly toy with a rattle on it. I wonder what use the gifts that the kings brought to Jesus would have been to a brand new baby. Perhaps they'd have been valuable gifts for throughout his life, or perhaps it has been suggested that Mary and Joseph might have used the gold to pay for their stay in the stable. They might have used the frankincense to make it smell a bit nicer in there, and used the myrrh as a lovely ointment to use on their brand new baby. I wonder. So, who were these three kings? Well, the Bible never actually states that they are kings, and we are never told that there were actually three. However, in ancient Babylon and Persia, very clever astrologers, or people who watch the stars, often advised priests and practiced in the art of magic, so we now tend to refer to them as kings. Later tellings of this famous story identified the Magi by name and identified their lands of origin. Melchior hailed from Persia, Gaspar, also referred to as Caspar or Jasper, came from India, and Balthazar from Arabia.
Hello everyone, we're going to be creating these three wise men out of ink and black pen and our fingertips. Materials that you need are 4 colours of ink, one for the faces, I'm using this one here, it's called umber, and then 3 colours for the different tunics of the wise men. You're going to need a piece of card, you're going to need a black pen and some tissues for wiping your fingers. For this first step, I've used a finger, little finger's best, my nails are a bit too long for that, to create the heads of the wise men using the umber colour. Now I've created the body using olive, opera pink and heliotrope. You may need to press it on a second time if it doesn't come out bold enough. Next thing I'm going to do is to add their faces. I've added their faces, 2 dots for eyes, a mouth, and then a beard, and then I've chosen 3 different styles of crown for their heads. Now I've added their arms and their legs, and in their arms I'm going to put 3 different shapes of present. Okay, so here are the 3 different types of present and their arms, and I'm going to put in their coats. So our green wise man has a sort of curving coat with a round neckline. Our pink wise man has what looks more like a waistcoat with a V-neck. And then our purple wise man has a sort of a Y shape going down the front of his cloak. And then the final thing is to add a star for them to follow. And there you have it, 3 wise men made out of ink fingerprints and details added in black pen.
In Spain, children may receive gifts from the 3 wise men rather than Santa Claus. They leave their shoes outside the door on the night of the 5th of January to be filled with gifts. Malaga in Spain is one of the many cities that celebrate with a parade, and the Magi sit on elaborate thrones and performers throw sweets to the children in the crowd. Lima in Peru have similar parades, but with 3 policemen dressed up as the 3 kings. In Poland, there are hundreds of Epiphany parades taking place on the 6th of January. Along with the 3 kings, Caspar, Melchior and Balthazar, the parades include figures of devils, angels and similar. Warsaw, the capital of Poland, also has parades with kings on camels, llamas and even a Chinese dragon to celebrate. Well, we can't really talk about the 3 kings coming to announce the birth of Jesus to the world without looking at making some crowns. And these crowns are just so easy to make. All you need is some paper, some squares of paper, coloured or white, you can decorate as you like. And they need to be squares because you need to fold them in half to create these triangular shapes, okay? And once you've done that with several pieces of paper, depends how big you want to make your crown, quite simply, you're just going to slot them into each other like that, okay? So you might want to just choose one colour, or you can create a pattern like I am. Okay, keep slotting them in like that until you've got a long line of your triangles, okay? When you've got them like that, make sure you press them firmly down on the seam because you need to have them quite well connected, but you can adjust them afterwards. And then you're going to pull it round like this. This can be the tricky bit because they want to come loose. You're going to pull it round and you're going to tuck in to the end one, just there, okay? Stand it up and you can then adjust it slightly. And there you have yourself a paper crown, an original paper crown. And you can use them for birthday parties, Christmas, you can put them in cracker hats, let your imagination run wild. And here are my 3 very willing volunteers who wanted to model the crowns for you. I think they might be a bit big for that camel though, don't you? I think Italy probably has one of my favourite traditions for Epiphany. They believe that a broomstick-ridden old hag flies through the night on the 5th of January to deliver sweets and treats to the children who have left their stockings out on the night before. Her name is Befana. In Venice, boats of women dressed as Befana race each other down Venice's Grand Canal. That is a sight I would definitely like to see one day. Okay, so to make your own Befana flying through the night, you need to have a circle of black card, or you could use a paper plate, which you can fold in half, and that becomes the rocking part. You need a twig from the garden. I actually took this off a very old Christmas decoration, which I was about to throw out, and I thought that was quite good for a broomstick. You will need to have, well, I cheated here a little bit, and I have to confess that I printed off a colouring sheet of a Befana rather than attempting to draw one, because I don't think you'd have particularly enjoyed seeing one that I've drawn. So I've taken a colouring sheet off the internet, just googled her name, and I've coloured her in. I've also got a little old paper cup that I've cut up, a little chocolate sweet to make her sack. So, taking your black card I have chosen to sellotape my broomstick on because I think that's going to be the strongest way of doing it, and hopefully you won't be able to see the sellotape when it's all done. Okay, so there's my broomstick, and then of course Befana needs to be riding on her broomstick. I'm going to put as much glue on there as I can because I want her to stick down on there, and she's holding on to her broomstick, so I'm going to put her up here. Okay. Oh, perhaps I should have done her boots in a different colour. She's not as clear to see, is she? Okay, so she's holding on to the broomstick there, like that. And then all I did to make this was I got a little paper cup and I wrapped it round and sellotaped together. And I popped a little chocolate in there because don't forget that Befana flies through the night on the 5th of January to deliver gifts or sweets to the children. And there we go. In many Eastern European countries, a cold water swim has become an important Epiphany tradition. In Prague, people can take part in a 3-king swim wearing swimwear and a crown. If you take part in the swim, you receive a certificate and hot spiced rum cider afterwards to warm you up. I wonder if you fancy doing that. Look at these front doors. What do you notice? They all have numbers and letters written above. Well, this is an ancient Epiphany tradition popular in Germany and elsewhere in Europe, where a pattern is written above the front door. The numbers at the start and end refer to the calendar year, and the initials in the middle refer to the 3 kings' names, Caspar, Melchior and Balthazar. But they are also an abbreviation of the Latin blessing, "May Christ bless this house." Have you seen any out and about and wondered what they mean? Well, I don't really have a front door that's suitable for chalking on, so I'm just going to use this piece of black paper and I'm going to start chalking here. So 20 plus C for Caspar, well, I called him Gaspar earlier. He was also known as Gaspar. Plus M for Melchior, plus B for Balthazar, and 22 to represent the fact that it's the year 2022. May Christ bless this house and all who dwell in it. In France, it's tradition on the 6th of January to bake and eat a Galette des Rois, or a cake of kings. A coin or a figure known as a fève is hidden inside to represent the baby Jesus hiding from King Herod, and whoever gets the slice with this inside receives a prize, a gift, or a special privilege throughout the day. I wonder what you might choose as your special privilege throughout the day. First, heat your oven to 200 degrees Celsius, or for a fan oven 180 degrees, or gas mark 6. Divide your puff pastry in half. Roll out each piece and cut into a 25 centimetre round. Put one round on a baking sheet and spread with the apricot jam, so within around 2 centimetres of the edges. Beat together your butter and caster sugar until it's light and fluffy. Then beat in the egg and stir in the ground almonds and cognac or dark rum. Spoon that mixture over the jam, spreading it evenly, and brush the edges of the pastry with water. Then cover it with the second piece and press the edges to seal them. Mark the top of the pastry from the centre to the edges like the spokes of a wheel or a zigzag pattern, and brush it with a beaten egg. Bake for 25 to 30 minutes until crisp and golden. You can eat it warm or cold, and I can say it is absolutely delicious. It didn't last long in this house. A galette fit for a king, or 3. When we think about giving and gifts, we often think about material things, beautifully wrapped up gifts in lovely wrapping paper with bows and full of excitement and wonder about what might be inside it. But as we go forward into 2022, let's think about some of the things that we can give to others and give to God that aren't necessarily material. And I know that you'll have your own ideas, but here's just some that I've thought of. Always be kind to others. We never know what somebody else might be going through, so we should always choose our words carefully. Invite others to join in with our games and activities, especially if you can see that they're feeling lonely or left out. Pay someone a compliment on how they look, how they behave, or even something they've done. It might just make their day. Offer to do some chores at home or for other people out in the community. Make sure that you're kind to yourself. Get lots of sleep, eat healthily, spend time with people that you love, doing things that you love doing. And of course, none of this would be possible if we don't look after God's earth. Recycle everything correctly, switch lights off when they're not in use, walk instead of going in the car where possible, and stop using single-use plastic.
Let us pray. Lord Jesus, thank you for our Epiphany celebrations. May your light guide our way through the coming year, just as the star guided the Magi to the stable. May we journey through 2022 safe in the knowledge that our wisdom and love will surround us. Help us to think of others and what we can bring to their lives, just as the Magi gave you gifts. Guide us, Lord, that we may know your purpose for us. In Jesus' name. Amen.
I wonder which your favourite Epiphany tradition was. As we come to the end of our virtual messy church, it's time to remember and have a think about the new year and what we can offer to God during this coming year. Make it a really successful journey through 2022, just as the Magi's journey to Bethlehem was a huge success. So all that's left for me to do is to wish you a happy new year. Until next time, bye.